AITA for never telling my best friend I once slept with his wife? I, 38M, have a close female friend, 38F, who I'll call Anna for this story. We've been close friends since we were 8 or 9 years old and were pretty much inseparable growing up. During senior high school she started dating a guy, we'll call him John for this story. I myself was in a relationship at that time, so would often go on double dates, me and my GF together with John and Anna. John was a nice guy and I enjoyed spending time with him. I developed a friendship with him, and though it wasn't as close as my friendship with Anna, I can genuinely say I enjoyed hanging out with the guy. They dated for a few years but eventually broke up at some point during our university years. They said it was a mutual thing. They were each other's first relationships, and I guess they felt like they wanted to know what it felt like dating other people. Or something like that. Point is, they broke up and it was fairly amicable. I was still close friends with Anna, so would continue to hang out with Anna, but after they stopped dating I lost track of John for a bit outside of random meetings and school campus. Yes, we all went to the same university. Anyway, at this point in my life I myself had just gotten dumped by my own GF, and I wasn't taking my breakup quite as amicably. Anna was there to comfort me through it and, well, we were both single, we were comfortable with each other, and one thing led to another. We ended up sleeping together a few times. We would have been around 20 at that point. We eventually stopped doing it because, well, it just felt plain weird. We've known each other for so long that it kind of felt like sleeping with your sister. I feel like we slept with each other more out of curiosity rather than actual desire. Anyway, we both agreed that it wasn't what we wanted and decided that we'd completely forget about it. Seriously, we agreed to never talk about it again and that we'd treat it as if it never happened. And that's exactly what we did. We went back to being pure platonic friends and acted like nothing ever happened between us. Anyway, a few years later, after we've graduated and we working as young professionals, I get a call from John. Apparently the company he was working for had a job opening that he felt I'd be a good fit for. I took him up on the offer and ended up working for the same company. We started hanging out every day in the office, during breaks and whatnot, and we became quite close. I was still friends with Anna at this point, and because both of them hung out with me, they started hanging out with each other again and eventually rekindled their relationship. Me and John eventually left the company, but we retained our friendship. As the years passed, I developed a closer friendship with John than with Anna. We just had more stuff in common, our humor aligned better, etc. So when they got married 8 years ago, I was John's best man. When I in turn got married 2 years later, I also made John my best man. Now we're in our late 30s and I consider John my best friend. But every now and then the thought crosses my mind that I actually slept with his wife at some point in the past. As far as I know, Anna has never told John. Or if she did, then I certainly never noticed any difference in how John acted towards me. Maybe Anna did exactly what we agreed to and completely forgot about the incident. I try to forget it as well, but sometimes I still feel guilt in never telling John about it. I also never told my wife. Not because I still have feelings for Anna or anything, but mostly I just don't want to rock the boat. Me and Anna have gotten way over it years ago, and I feel like if I say anything it will be made to look like a bigger thing than it really is, by both John and my wife. So I keep my mouth shut. But I'm curious, AITA, for just keeping quiet about this? Edit, based on the comments and reading, I feel like I have to clarify a few things. First, I absolutely have no plans of telling John or my wife. Or at least not at the moment. I mean, yes, I feel guilt over it and who knows what the future will bring, but as of right now I have no plans to say anything to anyone. Thus why my question is, AITA, for just keeping quiet about this. Second, a lot of people are asking why I'm writing this now. Fair question, and I don't have a solid answer. Maybe it's because I'm curious what other folk would do if they were in my situation. Maybe I'm looking for reassurance that I'm doing the right thing. I don't know. I do plan to delete this in a bit. Lastly, I should mention that after me and Anna ended our sexual experiment back in our 20s, we've spent lots of times hanging out together, sometimes just the two of us, sometimes when we were flat out drunk even. Especially back when we were both still single. At no point did it ever progress to anything sexual ever again. so when I say our relationship is completely platonic, I mean it. None of the guilt I feel has anything to do with hidden feelings between myself or Anna.
AITA for not telling my literal classmate that I'm married? Hey guys. I am almost 30 and started university again. I am married. I needed help with something and some guy from my class told me he can learn with me if I want to. We texted each other and it was only casual stuff, not flirty or anything at all, and he is also younger than me, so I didn't even think about anything weird at all. We met so he could explain me a few things. I was also happy that I found a friend. So when I was at his place he suddenly asked me about my relationship status and I told him I'm married. Dude suddenly got weird, told me he doesn't want to learn with me anymore and I should go home. He blocked me and ignored me in class. He is still ignoring me and I don't understand what I did wrong. He glances at me weirdly to let me know that he looks down on me. I'm so sick of this dude. Am I the asshole now?
AITA for not wanting to be my ex's caretaker. I'm making this post to show my ex later because I don't feel like I'm in the wrong here. But I'm close to the situation and am always open to new opinions. My ex up and abandoned our family several years back to live his truth. Not saying what his truth is, past that it involved a lot of random unprotected sex. That was way more important to him than our 3 children. He did not pay child support. He didn't even acknowledge the children most of the time. He worked under the table, sure that he didn't have to support the children that he helped create. Needless to say, our 2 eldest hate him and our youngest doesn't even remember him. He reached out to me recently to tell me that the karma train had run him over. He has acquired a terminal STI from his time as the community chew toy. He showed me proof of his diagnosis. Now he wants to come home, spend what time he has left with the children, and he wants me to be there when he passes on. Now isn't the time for I told you so. I think that he's being ridiculous. With new medication you can live a long time with that diagnosis. Besides, why should it fall on the children and I to sweep up another mess that he made? He thinks that the children will regret not getting to spend time with him while there's time to be had. So AITA? Update 1. I talked to the 2 older kids. I told them that Dad was sick and wanted to reconnect. Our eldest laughed and said she thought he deserved it. Our middle child said that she doesn't want to speak to him. Our youngest was 1 when he bounced, so he's just a concept to her anyway. Yeah, not bringing him back around the kids without a court order. I saw a few accusations of homophobia/transphobia. Both the ex and I are members of the Rainbow Rangers. Both of us are bi, for clarification. Purple heart, blue heart. I didn't send him the post, but he's already called this morning yell about it, so someone did. He claims that there's a secondary health issue that the HIV will make worse, so he will need help. Also, he's claiming that HIV automatically qualifies you for SSI and he's going that route and he won't be a financial burden. Well, he won't be anyway because I'm not letting him in. I agree with those of you who said he's probably lying/gaslighting/exaggerating, but he is a heavy smoker, so who knows. Thanks to everyone who commented. There was a lot of helpful information. Update 2. Because a lot of you called this. I told my ex that I wasn't going to force the children to have anything to do with him. His response was fine. I still need you though. I wish that I could figure out a way to attach a screenshot because my flabbers are gassed at the open audacity. He lives a state over and currently doesn't have a car, so we should be fairly safe. Last update, hopefully, because family members saw this shared on FB. I gave him 1 phone call before I blocked him. Mostly to see what he'd say. He admitted to exaggerating the situation. He has a lung issue that might become cancer in the future if he doesn't stop vaping and smoking. He is already on the meds to get his count down. He literally said that he wants to be babied. That someone as good looking as he is deserves to be babied. He also acknowledged that he can't keep a job. Apparently he had a job at a McDonald's outside of Pittsburgh recently and it didn't even last a month. So, in his words, he wasn't dodging child support so much as he is incapable of paying it. He also whined that all he has to offer anyone is sex and now that's been taken from him. His parents have disowned him. His brothers won't speak to him. Oh, and he says that he doesn't care what a bunch of internet strangers think, but then whined that I shouldn't talk bad about him to internet strangers thinking face. When he told me to stop taking a tone with him, I told him that any further contact can be through the courts and blocked him. This was draining. This was cathartic. To the assholes calling this fake, I hope you never experience an ex as bad as mine.
AITA for removing the ladder on my bunk bed so my niece can't get to me. My sister, F24, just moved back home with her husband and their daughter, 5, and son, 1. My sister was able to convince my parents to make me, F15, share my bedroom with her daughter because she and her husband would already be sharing a bedroom with their baby. She also wanted us to switch bedrooms too because my bedroom is her old bedroom and a lot larger than the spare room, which was my old bedroom. My parents at least said no to that. We ended up having my bed replaced with bunk beds so it wouldn't be too crowded. I sleep on the top bunk. And my niece started in the middle of the night climbing up into my bed to sleep with me because she was scared. I guess she gets scared a lot at night, but more here and will go sleep with her parents when she's scared. She is also too scared to go down the hallway to her parents' room because she has to go past the big dark windows in the hallway and past the staircase, which is scary because it's a dark hole. They tried putting in night lights, but that made it worse. I usually sleep deeply so I don't notice her get in, but I wake up sometime after she crawls in because it gets really hot and she's kind of gross because she's sticky with sweat and I just don't like it. So I realized I don't need the ladder to get to the top bunk and ended up using a screwdriver to remove the ladder from the bunk beds so she can't get to me. I guess she hadn't been sleeping well since I removed the ladder because the school got involved about her being tired all the time and they got in trouble. My sister thinks I'm being petty and I can just suck it up and let her sleep with me if she's scared. I still don't want to though.
AITA for telling my sister that I won't be after school care for her 5-year-old daughter. I, F40, work for my father's company as an accountant. My sister, F38, works for the city we live in, and my BIL, M35, also works for my dad, but in a different capacity and position in the field. For context, my dad is a licensed electrician and he's built and maintained a successful business for over 30 years. School started in our county 2 weeks ago. Last week, my brother-in-law shows up at my office and drops off my niece. He asked if I could watch her for the afternoon, and I said of course. Then he proceeded to drop her off every day after that at the same time. On Friday, I was asked if it was okay if I watched her for the rest of the school year. I am childless by choice. I don't particularly want to watch my niece every single weekday. I don't like that it was assumed I would do so. I don't mind helping, but I am at work during this time and I don't like that I am juggling 2 things at once. My dad is okay with me keeping her and is pretty much staying out of this arrangement. After-school care is offered in our district for $25 per week. When I said no, I don't want to be the primary care for her after school, my BIL reacted strongly and told my dad that he'd need afternoons off. I said I would not watch her. Part of me feels like I just need to suck it up and watch her. You do for family. The other part of me wants to stick to my guns and keep saying no. So AITA for trying to draw this line in the sand with my sister and BIL? Update. First off, thank you everyone for validating my thoughts. I don't post much and I'm always aware that I may be completely wrong when I do post something. For anyone questioning why I was feeling guilty/bad about this, just know, I'm the oldest sister. I have a little sister on my dad's side and one on my mom's side. There really is something to those oldest sister memes. Next, I need to make a correction about the price of the after-school care. The document I pulled up was from a previous year, and it has, in fact, gone up to $40 a week this year. This, according to a teacher friend, is of rising costs of the crafts and snacks they provide. Still dirt cheap for childcare IMO, but I'm not a parent. Now for the update. My dad stepped in and mediated and took the brunt of the blame for the initial miscommunication that implied I was okay with this whole arrangement. We have come to a compromise and decided that I will watch my niece at my dad's house a couple of days a week and BIL will take the remaining days. He'll have to leave too. 5 hours early on those days, and his pay will be docked accordingly. My pay is not going to be disturbed in any way, and I'll be compensated for any extra time at work this causes me. This is significant. I'm salary and don't normally get overtime. Some information came to light that I was previously unaware of regarding my sister and Bil's relationship that I'm not comfortable sharing here, but it made me vastly more aware that I need to provide support for my sister right now. My Bil can suck it. That's not meant to sound ominous, there's no DV that I'm aware of or anything, just some overwhelming relationship challenges. Overall, I'm glad I stood my ground, and at this point I feel like keeping my niece a couple of days a week is an okay compromise and will allow me to create a better bond with her. I do love her, so this will give us time together. And once again, my Bil can suck it.
AITA for telling my wife my son did nothing wrong. My son and his friends, 11 to 12 years, went to the dollar store. One of them has his own bank card and they were trying to buy some chips. His card kept getting declined because he didn't have anything in there, so the cashier told them to put a few baskets of stuff away and they could have the chips for free. My wife went crazy over this, telling him that it's basically stealing, someone has to pay for those chips, and it was wildly inappropriate in 2025 for a kid to do some work at a dollar store and get some chips in return. Now my son is crying in his room, and my wife is mad at me because I told her that it was perfectly fine and because I didn't agree with her viewpoint and back her up. I used to do the same thing at the local gas station 30 years ago. So, AITA.
AITA for telling my wife why our daughter doesn't trust her? Lurker here. So for the last few years me, 36, and my wife, 34, have had a very strained relationship due to the way my daughter and wife interact. It started when my daughter was 13. She came to her mother and confided her feelings about our family friend's son. My wife decided that this was too cute to share and told everyone during a family barbecue, including the boy. This embarrassed my daughter and I told my wife to stop as this made our daughter upset, but my wife justified it at the time because they were just kids. I've always known my wife has a hard time keeping secrets, but I thought she would have at least tried since this was a touchy subject, especially for a growing teenager with her first real crush. After this incident I started noticing things like this more, like my wife openly telling everyone our daughter's business. Admittedly, most of these incidents were unnoticed by me for years because they were usually conversations between my wife and her friends when I wasn't around, as she didn't like it when I interrupted girl time. However, I am noticing more now, like my wife telling everyone about my daughter's business, like texts, phone calls, and other secrets that she told her mom in the past when believing they wouldn't be told. As everything progressed, my daughter started getting closer to me more and I became the default parent who deals with medical issues, school drama, and crushes, which has upset my wife because my daughter refuses to have girl talk with her anymore, and is usually cold and doesn't like spending time with her. My wife decided to try and punish our daughter after finding out she got her first boyfriend and wasn't told. Our daughter is 16 now and I don't feel like it's necessary to punish her for these things when she has made a conscious decision to protect her privacy. I know she still loves her mom, but I understand not sharing things she doesn't want to get spread or blown out of proportion. I came home to my wife yelling at our daughter and demanding her phone, her laptop, etc. all over this situation, which it made me very angry because my daughter was in tears and she is still my little girl and doesn't deserve to be punished over something her own mother caused. I told my wife to leave her alone and that we would talk, but I also told her to give back the items which my wife refused on and started screaming at me in front of our daughter, something I don't like. I like to have calm conversations away from our daughter to prevent making her feel scared or uncomfortable. Eventually, after multiple attempts to calm her down so we could discuss this properly, she grabbed my arm and started digging her nails in my skin, and I had enough. Then I started ranting about how she always told our daughter's business to people, and how basically the whole family and friends around us knew everything about our daughter's personal life and medical history, and then I told her it was her fault our daughter doesn't trust her anymore, which made my wife start crying and she locked herself in the bedroom while I started comforting our daughter and went out to get her some dinner. But now I'm home and am getting some serious silent treatment from my wife, and I'm wondering if I could have possibly said something different. But I'm tired of her blaming our daughter every time she doesn't get told something. Edit. I have read many comments talking about my wife and I am seriously taking this all in. I really don't want my daughter to think this is okay for her future husband to treat her this way, so I am requesting my wife attends therapy by herself before she can join me and my daughter in family therapy, because I am not putting my daughter in a situation where her mother will probably use the therapy sessions to punish her, which people have mentioned. If she refuses, I will look into separation because I have realized my daughter needs her dad to keep her safe and she won't be safe if her mother is acting this way and normalizing this behavior. I am scared for my future honestly, but I am also hopeful that I can show my daughter she is loved and safe. I will be sending my daughter to stay with her aunt for the rest of the week while I have this conversation because I am not taking any chances that she'll have to listen to an argument between me and my wife.
I told my friend why I don't want to date him, and our friends are saying I broke him, AITA. So my 21F, friend of 10 years, Mark, not real name, 23M called me yesterday to meet him for lunch and that he had something important to discuss with me. I had free time so I agreed. I met him already there and joined him. We had lunch, then we talked a bit about random things. Then he cleared his throat and started speaking. He first told me that he didn't understand why I was dating my now boyfriend when he's a better match for me. I asked him to explain. And he basically went on about how he liked me first and he met me first. He's more good-looking, knows me better. He's taller than my boyfriend and more successful, which is not true in a way. My BF works aside from growing up in wealth while Mark's entire life is funded by his parents' money, lol. He told me he doesn't understand how I can be with him when he's always been around waiting for me. I was out of words and asked him if he wanted me to be honest. To which he said yes. I told him that I would never want to date him given how I've seen the way he treated his past girlfriends. He ghosts them when he feels like it and just expects them to be there waiting. I told him he's too immature and irresponsible for me and that dating him would be exhausting. I also explained that the reasons I mentioned was why over time I started putting a distance to our friendship because I didn't like the way he treated the women in his life. When I was done, he was just quiet. He just excused himself and left. I went home and went about my day. Later in the evening, our other friends started asking what I did to Mark and that he's been a wreck since he met me for lunch. He's drinking and not telling anyone what happened. I explained to them what happened and they are saying I was harsh. And that I broke him, blah blah blah. But I think someone had to tell him the truth. So Reddit fam, am I the AH? Edit, I know everyone says this, but whoa. I didn't think this post would blow up so much. I'm trying to get through the comments and answer some questions that are there. Was sort of occupied the whole day, so I just opened Reddit. Thank you all for the comments, honestly. Edit 2, I'm so overwhelmed by the comments in a good way. Most are really funny. I've been laughing so much I woke my sister's baby, loudly crying face with tears of joy. I've sent my post to my friend, not associated with Mark, and our group chat is blowing up with more laughter. But in all seriousness, I'm thankful for the great comments and people giving advice on my safety. I'll definitely be more aware of my surroundings going forward. I don't know Mark as a violent person, but then again this incident has proved that I may not know him like I think I do. Mark is currently blocked from everything. Our mutual friends who were supporting him and calling me out are also blocked. And this is also a learning lesson to me, to distance myself a lot more quicker next time I see red flags in future friendships.
AITA for refusing to pick my husband up from the hospital, which led him to walk 2 miles home. My 34F husband 37M has type 1 diabetes. He has a history of managing it very poorly. I have found him almost dead over a dozen times and the ambulance has to be called. He is usually conscious, but a few times he's been so low in the 20s that he is basically in a coma. He's very lucky actually that I do find him either waking up in the middle of the night or coming home in time. It's absolutely terrifying and I am worried every day. I'm gonna just find him dead one day. He never acknowledges how this feels for me, just says it's what happens when you have diabetes. He also has a history of being extremely aggressive when he is low. Sometimes he is goofy, but other times he is just mean, spitting in my face, calling me a whore. I get it's his low sugar talking and not him, but it is still a lot to manage. He has had a pump in the past which helps a lot, but when he doesn't use it right or like now his broke and we are waiting for a new one to come, he can't monitor his sugar as well. That said, he also doesn't eat well or monitor it like he should. We had an argument the other night and I asked that he sleep on the couch so we could be separate. I hate doing that because if he goes low and he's not next to me, I won't know. I begged him to make sure he ate something substantial before he fell asleep so his sugar wouldn't drop overnight. Now I am 8 months pregnant and thankfully in this case wake up a lot to pee. I woke up at 4 a.m. and peed and decided to check on him. His sugar was incredibly low. He gets sweaty all over and when I woke him up he starting screaming at me to kill yourself bitch. I called the ambulance. He was super aggressive with them too. And it took 7 men, he's a big guy, 280 pounds, to hold him down and get in 4 in him. He kept ripping it out. They finally got his sugar up enough to where he was coherent, but they wanted to take him to the ER to be sure his sugar stayed stable. I refused to go with. I just feel like I reached my breaking point. I've been through this so many times, and being pregnant I just couldn't deal with it, so I went back to bed knowing he would be okay. He called me at 6:30 a.m. to say he needed a ride home. I said no and hung up. He came home 2 hours later saying he had to walk home in his sock feet. He could have taken an Uber. We didn't have much money, but he could have called his parents to have them book him one. He could have called his brother or friend for a ride. Now he is blaming me for making him walk home, and his parents have said you don't do something like that to someone you love. I don't feel like I made him do anything. I didn't tell him to walk home. I didn't think he would, because that is insane. I'm so stressed out by this, which isn't good for me being pregnant, but I just feel like I can't say sorry like it was my fault. So AITA.